I've always liked the vibes of fishing. Sitting back, nice and relaxed, looking out over a body of water while the sounds of nature fill your ears. You got a nice cool drink and maybe even a buddy there to chat with. It just seems nice and chill. But actually fishing is not for me. You have to ready the line, deal with the bugs, power through the long periods of nothing happening, deal with the bugs, withstand the elements, deal with the bugs. I don't like it. I mean, why put up with all that when you can be a big purple cat instead? Fishing has been in video games since the late 70s, I think. I swear this is fishing. If you've played a number of games, there's a pretty good chance you've encountered a fishing minigame here and there. Zelda, Harvest Moon, Pokemon, Kirby, Elder Scrolls, Sonic, Animal Crossing, Red Dead, Persona, Fire Emblem, Minecraft, Like a Dragon. You give a game dev a body of water and turn around for a minute. By the time you look back, there'll be a fishing minigame with 20 kinds of fish to catch. But fishing isn't always relegated to just being a minigame. Sometimes it's the whole focus. Like in Bryce Bucher's game, Mysteries Under Lake Ophelia, a small indie game with a chill vibe. But as we journey deeper into said lake, we very well may uncover something dark. The game is essentially an expanded version of the fishing hole from Ocarina of Time, both in how it plays and how it looks. You play as a young man, adorned in a goth Dreamcast shirt, tasked with gathering up different kinds of fish and selling them. There's 32 different kinds of fish to catch, all scattered throughout the different bodies of water found in the clearing. Obviously we have the lake, but there's also this stump, the cave, and this pond atop a cliff. But knowing where the fish isn't going to be very helpful if we don't have the right gear to catch them. We're going to need some upgrades. Enter, this guy. He'll buy up any of the fish we caught and sell us new poles and lures. Poles determine how far we can cast our lure, and the lure determines how deep it can sink, as well as how attracted fish will be to it. Some fish can only be found far out and deep down, so you'll need to get the best gear in order to complete the Fishopedia. So you'll end up in a cycle of catching fish, selling them, buying new gear, and then using said gear to catch new fish. But not all the lures are exclusive to this shop. Quite a few are just lying out there ready to be fished up. Here's a hint, if there's an area you can't see but you can cast your lure, try it out. You might find something. Finding them and collecting them are different things though. You have to get your lure pretty close to pick these up, and there's no way to move the lure after casting it out. You can only reel it in. So if your cast is a bit too far to the right or left, you'll have to redo the cast. It's a tad annoying. While on the subject, let's talk about the actual fishing mechanics. It's pretty simple. Hold down the right trigger, select your target, then release the trigger to cast. As said, once the line is cast, all you can really do is reel it in. But if you want to cancel the cast quickly, you can just hit the B button, as opposed to having to slowly reel the line back in, which is nice. Once we cast our lure, we then start everyone's favorite part of fishing, waiting for the fish to bite. Yep. Certain fish are quick to chow down, while others will require some patience. Once one does bite, it's time to reel it in, but be careful. If you attempt to reel it in while the fish is thrashing, you'll strain and eventually snap the line. Wait for it to stop struggling, then reel it in. If it starts thrashing again, stop and wait for it to calm down. You can tap the reel button to try and keep the fish in place, but you'll hear a straining noise that wanes as the line gets closer to snapping, so do it in moderation. It can take a bit, but eventually you'll end up making the catch. All the fish work this way, though some will struggle far more than others. As I said, there are fish to be found all over this clearing. Some are exclusive to the cave, while others can only be found in the deepest parts of the lake. But it's not always guaranteed a type of fish will spawn. You very well may have to sleep in your tent at night in order to reset the fish. But if you want to increase the odds of the more rare fish appearing, you'll need to increase your luck. Luck is a hidden stat that can be temporarily increased by cooking up dishes. You'll find this abandoned cabin housing a cooking pot, and here's where you can throw in some of your catch to create a dish. Depending on the value of the fish you throw in, you'll get different dishes with different levels of luck buffs. 4 fish of value under $100 gives you the dubious dish, which provides a small luck increase. If you choose at least 3 fish of value over $100, you'll get an average dish with a moderate luck increase. And choosing fish with a value over $2,500 will give you the glorious dish, granting a huge luck increase. I should note that luck only takes effect when the fish are being reset, so the most efficient thing to do is to make a dish right before you go to sleep for the night. But that's really it for the gameplay. Like I said, it's a simple chill time. It's all vibes, man. The low poly graphics call back to the N64 and the PS1, filling you with a warm nostalgic feeling, whilst also putting you in an otherworldly calm that only these retro 3D graphics can manage. It doesn't look realistic, and that's what's charming about it. And the sound design is perfect too. Very big emphasis on ambience. Near the lake you'll hear cicadas and birds, while in the cave you'll hear the sounds of water bouncing off the walls. You can hear muffled noises of fish swimming by your lure. As you reel them in, you'll hear droplets hitting the water, all while this nice melancholic piece comes on from time to time. It's not a headbanger, but it fits the atmosphere and isn't distracting. It's a nice, calm game. But who are we kidding? If you didn't see the horror tag on the Steam page, you may be aware of Bryce Bucher's previous game, Fatum Batula, an exploration game with creepy visuals. It should be no surprise those scary elements have found their way into this game as well. At night, you'll notice a green light coming from the center of the lake. Investigate and you'll see the light escaping from a hole at the very bottom. If you talk to the shopkeep, he'll bring up rumors of a treasure being found underneath Lake Ophelia. Could this mysterious hole be where it's found? Using the most expensive pole and lure, we can sink our hook down into this crevice and find out. As we fall into these dark depths, we see that it was a man-made light that was illuminating the water. That's not all though. As we sink even deeper, we come upon damaged steel girders. We are not the first ones down here. It then cuts to our player character, floating before the backdrop opens up, revealing a collection of grotesque holes. I guess that's what the trypophobia warning was for. We'll remain still if we do nothing, but if we hold down the right trigger, our character will get pulled into one of these holes. Another cut and we see our lead, this time portrayed with claymation. He's floating in space, looking out over what I assumed was Earth before it slowly turns, revealing it to be something else. Then it cuts the credits. So, can you tell me what any of that meant? My interpretation is that the ending is meant to invoke a feeling of weakness and vulnerability. When we see the player character floating, we have to use the same button we used to reel to pull him into this hole, as if he is a fish. And the backdrop resembles a dark cavern, much like the same one we dropped our lure into, the one filled with man-made objects. Yet, a part of it seems organic, like it has a pulse. Whatever is reeling us in is alive. And then we have the final shot, where we see the large object floating in space. I initially thought it was Earth, but when it turns, it almost appears like something is emerging from it, as if it's an egg. Like a fish egg, maybe? To me, there's a parallel being drawn between humanity and fish. Perhaps the ending is implying that, just like fish, humans can be just as easily lured and taken from their home. By what? Something far greater than us. That's just my own interpretation though. If you disagree, that's fine. I just figured trying to piece this together was more productive than scratching my head and going, what the heck? There is a meaning to this ending. The developer said so himself. So there is something to parse here. I do understand those that are let down by this ending. It's as vague as it is short, and that can be a big letdown, especially for those who went into this game hoping for more horror elements. Mysteries Under Lake Ophelia plays it pretty straight for 99% of its runtime, only getting dark and creepy at the tail end. If you came in hoping this was going to be one of those horror games that looks innocent on the surface but is actually really dark, you may be disappointed. But for me, someone who's hoping for a nice chill fishing game, this was perfect. It's short, it's simple, and it's soothing. If you're down to give it a shot, check it out. It's on Steam and Nintendo Switch. But if you want to explore that creepier side of Bryce Bucher's work, check out Fatum Batula. And also be on the lookout for his upcoming game, 500 Caliber Contracts, a momentum-based 3D platformer. That's all for now. Have a nice night.